You ever sit there, staring at your phone, wondering how she ended up with him? You know what I'm talking about. The guy who's emotionally unavailable, a walking red flag, a complete mystery, and somehow she's hooked. And you're standing there thinking, but I'm the nice guy, I treat her right, I actually care. What the hell is going on? Let me tell you something that's going to sting a little, but it's going to wake you up. Being nice isn't a strategy. It's not a personality, and it's definitely not attraction. Niceness is expected. It's basic human decency. You don't get rewarded for it in dating the same way. You don't get a trophy for breathing. You want to know the real reason hot women high energy, confident, emotionally intelligent women don't go for so-called nice guys. It's because most nice guys aren't actually nice. They're performative, they're transactional, they're playing the long game, doing everything right, hoping it earns them intimacy in return. And that's not sexy. That's manipulation in a polite costume. Here's the truth. Women, real women who know what they want, aren't looking for passive. They aren't looking for someone who disappears into people, pleasing, who nods along just to avoid conflict, who plays it safe because he's afraid of rejection. That's not kindness, that's fear, and fear is repellent. What's attractive is someone who knows who the hell he is. Someone who can say no without guilt, who can lead without controlling, who has a vision not just for where he's going, but for the kind of relationship he's building. Someone who listens not to impress her, but to understand her. That's strength. That's presence. That's what sets hearts on fire. Being nice doesn't mean you have boundaries. It doesn't mean you have purpose. It doesn't mean you respect yourself. And until you do, until you show up as a man who honors himself first, your niceness is just noise. Confidence is quiet. Energy is magnetic. But you don't fake it. You build it. You live it. You stop waiting for approval and you own your damn life. So stop asking why she doesn't want you for being nice. Start asking whether you even want yourself right now. Because when you finally start showing up for yourself with courage, direction, and unapologetic authenticity, you think being nice is your golden ticket. That if you're polite enough, patient enough, accommodating enough, she'll finally see how good you are and choose you. Listen to me. Niceness is not your edge. It's the entry fee. It's the absolute bare minimum for being a decent human being. You don't get extra credit for it. Being nice doesn't make you special. It makes you socially acceptable. And here's where it gets real when you lead with "I'm a nice guy." You're not showing who you are. You're hiding behind a mask. You're playing safe, hoping that playing by the invisible rulebook gets you noticed. But guess what? That's not confidence. That's not identity. That's not leadership. That's compliance. That's showing up like a blank canvas and praying she'll paint the picture for you. The women you're talking about, the confident, magnetic, powerful ones, they don't want a blank slate. They want someone who knows what he believes in. Someone who brings substance, who has a voice, who challenges them not in a toxic way, but in a way that makes them feel seen. You can't do that if you're hiding behind nice. Being nice doesn't tell her anything about your ambition, your passion, your values, or your fire. And fire is what ignites attraction, not politeness, not perfection. Fire, let's rip the band. Date off. Most nice guys aren't actually being nice, they're making a trade. They're showing up with smiles, compliments, favors, and fake patience, all while secretly thinking, if I just keep doing this, she'll eventually give me what I want. That's not kindness. That's a silent contract she never signed, and when she doesn't return the interest, you get bitter. You get resentful. You say, Why do women always go for jerks? No, you weren't rejected for being nice. You were rejected for being fake. Women can feel that pressure. They can feel when there's an unspoken expectation tied to your kindness. And it doesn't feel good. It feels manipulative, like you're holding open the door not because you're a gentleman, but because you think it's step one on the path to something more. That's not generosity, that's calculation. You want to know what real kindness looks like. It's giving without scoreboard, keeping. It's showing up fully as yourself, not as some twisted version of who you think she wants. Because if your niceness disappears the moment you don't get the response you expected, you were never being nice, you were negotiating, and that energy, that's exactly what pushes people away. Let's talk about what's really going on underneath all that nice guy behavior, because a lot of it isn't kindness at all. It's passivity. It's fear wearing a polite smile. You're not speaking your truth. You're not expressing what you want. You're shrinking, nodding along, saying whatever you want. Because deep down, you're terrified of rocking the boat. You think that if you just stay agreeable, she'll stick around. But what she really feels is that you've got no spine. Women don't want someone who's just going to mirror them. They don't want a dorm, dressed up as a gentleman. They want to feel your presence, your opinion, your passion, your yes and your no. And when you play it safe, when you keep swallowing your voice to stay nice, what you're actually doing is disappearing. You become invisible, forgettable. You become the guy she says is sweet, but doesn't feel any spark with. And here's the kicker: conflict isn't the problem. Lack of authenticity is. You can disagree and still connect. You can be strong and still be kind. But if you keep mistaking silence for respect and avoidance for maturity, you're not being a man. You're being a ghost. And ghosts don't get the girl. Here's where most guys completely miss the mark. Confidence isn't about being loud or controlling. It's about owning who you are with calm assurance. It's about setting boundaries without feeling guilty or apologizing for them. When you respect yourself, you don't bend over backward to avoid upsetting someone else. You don't let your values slide because you're afraid of losing her approval. You stand firm, and that firmness is magnetic. Women who know their worth aren't looking for someone to follow. They want a partner who can lead, but not with an iron fist. Someone who can say "this is who I am," without trying to force her to fit into a mold. You can have boundaries and be kind at the same time. You can be strong and still listen deeply. That balance, that dance, is where real attraction lives. When you start showing up with clear intentions and respect for yourself, it sends a message louder than any words. It says, "I'm worth your time, and I'm worth my own." And that kind of presence, it's irresistible. Because nothing is sexier than a man who values himself enough to demand the respect he deserves. Magnetism isn't something you fake, it's something you become. It comes from living with purpose, owning your story, and showing up fully without apologies. When you know who you are and what you stand for, your energy shifts. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops or constantly prove yourself. You just are, and that quiet confidence, it pulls people in like a gravity you can't resist. Trying to impress someone by being nice or good isn't enough because it's external. It's a performance, but authentic energy that comes from the inside. It's your values, your passions, your struggles, your wins, all woven into the way you carry yourself. That's what makes you stand out in a sea of people trying to fit in. Women can feel it immediately. They sense when a man is living aligned with himself versus someone trying to live up to what they think others want. Authenticity is sexy. Presence is magnetic, and you don't need to be anyone else to be irresistible. You just need to be real. Here's the hard truth that nobody tells you. If you don't like yourself, no one else will, no matter how nice you try to be. You can put on the best mask, the sweetest smile, and the kindest words, but if underneath it all you're filled with doubt, insecurity, and low self-worth, it's going to show. Women pick up on that energy immediately. It's like a radar for anything less than confidence. Self-respect isn't arrogant or selfish. It's necessary. It means you stop tolerating crap from anyone, including yourself. It means you honor your needs, your dreams, your limits. And that kind of respect builds an unshakable foundation. When you stand tall in your own value, you stop chasing approval because you already have it from yourself. That's when things change. That's when you stop being the nice guy who waits for permission to be loved and start being the man who commands it. Not with force, but with undeniable self-belief. Because true confidence isn't about others thinking you're great. It's about knowing you're great no matter what. Here's what flips the entire game. When you stop chasing, when you stop begging for approval, and when you start leading with your truth, everything changes. You don't have to run after anyone's attention. You don't have to convince her you're worth her time. Because once you show up fully clear on who you are, what you want, and what you won't settle for, that energy broadcasts itself loud and clear. Chasing is exhausting. It's desperate. It screams insecurity, and women, they feel that on a cellular level. But leading with authenticity, that's powerful, that's magnetic. It pulls people in naturally because it's real. When you're not trying to be someone you're not, when you're not wrapped up in what she thinks or wants, you're free. And freedom is attractive. Freedom says, I'm here, I'm enough. And if you want to be part of my life, you'll show up for me too. That's how connection happens, not through nice guy scripts, but through real, unshakable presence. Stop chasing. Start leading and watch what happens.